All right, welcome back to another episode of the Carbon Cardboard Podcast covering Formula One and the Formula One card hobby. I'm your host, Bryan, Q3 Cards, joined as always with my good friend Scott from the F1 Castle.
What's going on? Wow, exciting weekend again of racing.
We were going to try to record. Schedules are a little tough to coordinate the last couple of days. We were going to have a preview of Hungary. Now we have a recap. We scrapped everything we were going to talk about just because this race, Scott, was just so darn spicy.
Yeah, I mean, it had it all, right? I mean, I think at this point we're still in the type of vibe where if Max isn't necessarily the one winning or out there, like it's great. And we got to see McLaren like a clear step above, right? With a 1-2 in the bag, and then Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull all kind of right there, which was really exciting. I mean, it gave us so many different teams, so many different drivers battling, and yeah, really fun to see.
So, like I said, we scrapped our originally planned topic. We'll save that for another episode. So we're going to talk Hungary, all the spiciness and underlying stories that we have, some of the immediate card impact that we'll have to our new race winner, number 7 on the season. We're going to talk about some hits in the castle recently, and then next weekend, the National.
Biggest card show of the year.
Biggest card show of the year. So you've been working on a lot of stuff. We'll be able to share some of the details there. Some of the details are already out there. But if you live under a rock and you don't follow Scott on social media, we'll be able to get you up to speed if you're at the National in person to do a lot of the events, or like me, hand raised here for those on audio, I'll be tuning in virtually. I could not make it happen this year. I'm bummed. I really wanted to. There's a few people in the hobby I haven't had a chance to meet in person quite yet. Namely, Ferg. I wanted to finally meet up with Ferg from Rated Rips, but there's quite a bit of others. You know, Scott, when you and I were out in, is it January, February, hand delivering the Max Verstappen Superfractor 2020 to PSA, we had an opportunity to meet a lot of Formula One collectors in California in person. That was a blast.
That's
still
what it's all
think
about.
back at, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just get into it because there's so much spiciness to talk about. We're not going to bury the lead here, Scott. I am just basically going to be in the sidecar here. I'm so interested. I know that we haven't even had a chance to talk about the race too much throughout the day, so I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. I'm going to pepper you with questions. We're going to start it off, Scott, with Oscar Piastri, first-time race winner. He was a sprint winner last year. It's now official. He's I guess essentially a double winner, but I don't think, Scott, those sprints really count as much as a true Grand Prix does.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that kind of by the graphic that we have here that was on F1's Instagram, right? It's his first win. Like, this is his first actual legitimate race win. Sprint is great, but this is the first one. It's a big one to get off your back. I know we're going to talk about it's a little weird the way it happened, but sometimes racing can be a little weird. I said it on the last podcast, though, that I think Oscar's going to get multiple this year. I really do. I mean, I think Lando and Oscar are both going to get multiple race wins, even in the rest of the season. McLaren just looks to be the class, like the class of the field, which is nuts to think. Like, I can't imagine saying this back in, February, March, when McLaren did not come out of the gates super well. It was like, oh, they've actually taken a step back. They were kind of clearly behind Ferrari and Red Bull. And yeah, they've taken a big step, and it's legitimate. It's real. And now we're going to another track next week that's always been good for them. But yeah, Oscar getting that first win is massive. There's only been a handful of winners from Australia as well, so that's really cool. But we knew it was coming, right? I mean, he's been one of the best rookies for a while.
storyline for this one, Scott, I think almost before turn one, where a lot of the storylines that we later saw and heard about through the rest of the race here on screen here, the 1-2 for McLaren. Oh boy.
Yeah.
What is your
Okay.
just put on your fan hat for a second. Like, I was gutted for both of these guys. Like, I feel like McLaren did an oopsie with the strategy. I think they realized they screwed Piastri's race the last time out in Silverstone. When the rain came, they left him out. You know, he basically dropped multiple places. I don't know if this was the "we got you back" type thing, but I mean, Lando 5 seconds ahead, almost 6, clearly showing that he's was the faster car at one point, but he was really out in free air because of they probably should have changed the order of their pit stops and put Piastri in first instead of Lando. I just, as a fan, it's really hard to make sense of this, especially where Lando, in theory, has the most points, is potentially the greatest threat to Max in the World Driver Championship for individual drivers. I don't know, Scott. Is McLaren more interested in the constructor at this point? And that's the only thing I can make sense of this, is that's where they're putting all of their eggs into that one basket.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to unpack here, right? It was a crazy race between the two of them, and I think, bringing some of the background into it is relevant, right? Because Oscar's race did get screwed completely in Silverstone. I don't think Lando's race was, ran perfectly, but Oscar's definitely got screwed. And the issue is that it's kind of like the racing code, in that if you have two drivers on the same team, one of them is ahead of the other, just like in a given race, they get the preferential, like pit strategy. So if a one stop is generally, you think, going to be the best, and a two stop is an alternative, like the car in front just takes the one they think is better, and the second car tries to do something different to see if they can pass him that way. Because listen, Lando didn't pass him on track, right? Lando was chasing down. Oscar got a great start and managed to get into the lead. He did the job on track, right? Like, he got the lead, and he was attacked a little bit, but it came to nothing, right? And then Lando kind of settled in. So would Lando have actually been able to pass him on track? I don't know. Yeah, did he have better pace when he was in free air? Yes, but maybe Oscar had that same amount of pace in free air and he was managing early on. Like, there's just so many what ifs, and obviously it made for a really awkward situation where if Oscar is pit early, it's fine. And the reason this matters, the reason pitting first or second matters on a track like Hungary, is because the undercut is so strong, right? You're generally going to have a benefit by getting on the fresher tires earlier and knocking out that lap, rather than at the end of your stint, because the track is such high degradation at the end of your stint, you generally can't put in really good laps. So you get a huge benefit from it. They pit the car that was second, and they kind of were like, oh, we were worried about Hamilton, but I don't know. I don't know that he was actually that close. I think the two McLarens had kind of checked out a bit from the rest of the field. And again, this is just an example of McLaren really kind of just mishandling being at the front. This is part of being at the front. Being at the front isn't just one of your drivers competing with another driver and like making sure we get that driver strategy right and we're fine. Like, you've got to know how to run both drivers, and if they're going against each other, it's even more you have to manage. And so again, it, of course, they get to choose what they play, right, in terms of the radios, and like they're playing a lot of Max being a child on the radio, and then they're playing a lot of Lando's conversation with his engineer. And we didn't hear too much of Oscar and his engineer. We heard a little bit of like, oh yeah, we're working on it. But then, they're just asking Lando over and over and over. And Lando clearly, was trying to prove a point with the pace that he had at the end. So, yeah, I mean, it's an awkward situation. I'm really happy for Piastri. I think they did the right thing in the end. I think Lando, like, I think at the end, they're like, okay, constructors' points are the same. Lando, does he really think he can catch Max at this point? Like, I think it's probably too far gone for the drivers. If he had been a bit closer, maybe the team doesn't swap them around. If Lando loses by 6 points to Max in the championship, like, this matters, but otherwise, it is what it is.
You talked about Max being a little ornery. Maybe he didn't get enough sleep from, doing his stint at 24-hour virtual spa, doing simmers.
If you're watching Sky Sports broadcast, I think Crofty mentioned that about 11 times.
Well, I watched the F1 TV broadcast, and obviously David Coulthard is part of that broadcast most of the time.
Yep.
And man, just to get his firsthand, he was in a similar situation with Mika Hakkinen and let him go so that he could get his first win. So it's funny, obviously famously or infamously, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso had their differences. I don't know. I think I think you're right, Scott. I think a lot of it was made up for the broadcast and to make it a little bit maybe more spicier than it needed to be. But Lando did not do himself any favors with the way that the appearance the appearance he was giving by trying to prove a point, and I almost thought he was not going to play the team game.
But he did, right? But he did.
And I think at the end of the day, I think he started to say the right things afterwards. Obviously, is he disappointed? Absolutely. To get win number 2 would have been great. But I mean, he even made the point to Scott afterwards. I know we're talking a lot about this race, but I'm just like, this was one of the most fascinating ones of the season so far to me, just because of all the different storylines here. Is, he realizes that a lot of his early season success has been at the expense of Oscar. I mean, Silverstone, he gave up, track position. Oscar is definitely had no problem playing the team game. So, they said, even his race engineer said, you're going to need Oscar and you're going to need us. Do you want to make an enemy? And that was a tough message to hear. You don't normally hear that.
Yeah. No, it's tricky. And I mean, I think it's coming from, a standpoint of like, they're like, listen, this isn't how Red Bull operates right now in terms of like, truly Max out there. Although Perez did have a great recovery finish all the way up. I think he got 7th, which is pretty insane. So really,
they said to finish near Max, Perez. And he did. So
he did. And what's crazy is right now, like 5th, 6th might be like where the Red Bull is. And so like, Max is probably going to generally punch a little bit above its weight. Right. And then Perez, I mean, right there, he did a good job. I got to say, especially like you crash in qualifying and you have that happen, like it could torpedo everything and you lose all confidence, but he actually did pretty well.
I think this didn't get a lot of press too, but Aston Martin had their own issues near the finish line. I guess Lance Stroll didn't let Alonso by for that final point.
Yep.
It's a spicy season, Scott. I love it. It's great for collectors. We got to do some immediate impact here. Let me go back to some of the shots here for Oscar. Hobby impact. I think hobby impact here is probably the greatest to Oscar.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned it, Scott. He's got the first win at this point. I mean, immediate impact to his card market. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I think like everyone, the way people have been collecting Oscar and, prospecting on him, people are assuming he's going to win. Like they're just assuming he's going to get wins, but like it just wasn't happening. Right. And you see some break spots that feel slower. Some cards went down like a little bit, and you're thinking like, oh, maybe he's just going to be a number 2 to Lando. But like, I think he's proven, especially in the last few races, that he's got what it takes, and like he just needed a little time. And I think he still does need a little more time, but he's the real deal. And getting that first win is always big. And this wasn't while it was a little weird the way he got it, it wasn't like, just a random victory like Esteban Ocon's Hungary victory where it's just like everything goes crazy and like you somehow have a chance to win. This was on, merit, outside of them kind of botching the whole pit strategy and having to do the swap. But yeah, really big for Piastri. He should definitely see a bump just because people are going to want to be, people are going to feel more secure now in collecting him. So he'll probably get a lot of people looking to buy his cards, especially marquee cards of Piastri before he starts winning a lot, right? Because that's the fears. If you don't buy now, if he goes on to start winning a lot of races and he looks like a title contender or something for next year, then it's prices are going to be through the roof. So yeah, I think he definitely gets the biggest bump from this one.
You talked about some of those cards, and I guess I'll put you on the spot a little bit here, but I'm very confident in your ability to rattle some of these cards off the top of your head because, I mean, quite frankly, you see them almost daily and you monitor this stuff most daily with Oscar Piastri. Let's first start on, I don't want to say like the bottom end of the market, but like what are some cards that collectors, if they want to go out and get some Oscar cards at this point? Obviously, it's maybe not the best time to do it because the hype is going to be up. People love a winner. Like some of the parallels and stuff that somebody might want to target there. I personally am a big fan of the mini diamonds. I love the mini diamonds Oscar cards.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into Chrome, mini diamonds out of 299 looks really good and it's readily available. Even I actually do really like the Aqua Wave that they added this year, the out of 150. It's also the first year that it's been added, so it has a little bit of uniqueness in that. It just looks good, and like you can make an Aqua Wave set just with the Aqua Wave gold and orange. So yeah, I mean, I like that. Obviously, portrait is the place you generally want to be. I think for Oscar in this year, you have a few different choices, right? You've got portrait, you've got freshest. The freshest always does well for rookie cards. And then you've got the helmet card, number 41. So those 3 cards are all selling very well. The helmet card might even be outselling the freshest right now. So yeah, those 3 cards are great in any parallel. But if you're looking for, value, and not to really break the budget, mini diamonds and Aqua Waves and Chrome are really good. And then even Aqua in Sapphire, 2023 Sapphire, like getting Aquas out of 99 are still, pretty unique. And the golds are fairly readily available because, some people have been ripping and selling everything in the world. So, I'm sure if you looked at Rated Rips consignment right now, there's probably some gold Oscar Piastris on there.
And then on the higher end too, like obviously we do have dynasty cards. I mean, like if you had like a wish list of like the top 3 Oscar cards that, obviously not necessarily one of ones because there's only obviously one of those, but like what are some of your favorite ones?
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk about like there's 2 of his cards that are actually on the F110 right now. So his Superfractor Futero auto still has not been hit, and that's really big because his Superfractor Futero got hit, his Superfractor Portrait auto got hit, and his Superfractor helmet card got hit. So really the big ones left in Chrome are his Superfractor Futero auto and then his actual Superfractor just base portrait are the 2 big ones left in Chrome. And in Sapphire, the Pad Paraja number 41, the helmet card, is the biggest card there. But yeah, I mean, on the high end, like any of those parallels, right? Like I think like in Chrome, you can look at, also F1 Armor and, that card is really nice, or just the standard Futero, right? Like I think I actually have a red Futero Piastri on consignment right now. So yeah, those are some of the really nice cards in this year's Chrome. Dynasty, obviously great. You can also go back to the 2022 set for his 1 card / image variation, the Formula 2 championship win. I hit the Pad Paraja of his regular card, but the image variation is still alive and out there. And in 2021, his portrait in Sapphire is still available. So lots of crazy stuff for Oscar out there.
Maybe hit him at the National. We'll see. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right, so let's talk about some of the big hits that have come up recently in the F1 Castle.
Yeah, so this is actually an oldie but a goodie, and I forgot about this one to post it a while ago, but I hit this for Racing and Chronos for Scott in a 2020 Chrome case. This is an orange track tag of the Honey Badger, Daniel Ricciardo. Then I think I've got some 2023 hits. Yeah, this was crazy. Out of one case of Chrome, 2023 Chrome on Fanatics Live, we got an Alessandro Aluni Bravi Superfractor portrait. I was like, okay. That was in like box 3 or something. And then in the last box, I was like, oh my God, we have another Superfractor. And we were down in auto, and I was like, oh my God, it might be an auto. And sure enough, it was Frederick Vasseur. And I hit both these cards for Patrick. Patrick actually already moved this. I don't know the exact terms of the deal, but Racing Chronos now owns the Frederick Vasseur. So yeah, Scott made out again. But yeah, so 2 Superfractors in one case was pretty crazy. It's the first time I've ever seen that in any year. Then Jeff was doing some Percy's, hit a Max Verstappen, Pad Paraja. This is for DHL fast, or actually no, this is fastest lap. Yeah, DHL fastest lap. That's on F1 Castle Premium consignment coming soon.
Ooh,
that's right.
And this one was out of order, but driver number match essentially for this Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz 2023 Sapphire red image variation, 5 out of 5, right? I mean, it's team color match, it's driver number match. It's pretty insane. And I know who owns the 1 of 1. I feel like they've got to have this red. You know, it just matches in so many different ways.
Good stuff. And I know even the other night, we'll probably talk about that in a future episode. Some crazy dynasty hits.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. I should have sent those.
I figured I
didn't want to send them now, you won't even be able to put them. Yeah. We'll just
now.
Save it. We'll save it.
Just all I have to say is just go follow Scott on Instagram if you haven't already.
Well, that's the reason we didn't podcast last night, is because I was like, oh, Bryan, I'm sorry, I got to rip Dynasty. And Brian's like, all right, I'm going to bed. Screw you.
all you got to say is 2020 Dynasty and Jeff Crypto Cards. And I'm just like, this is not going to start anytime soon. I'm like, I'm going to bed. If we start this at like 11:30, I'll be going to bed around like 1:30. So
that's true.
I'm an old man indeed. All right, let's talk national, Scott. We'll talk the last like 7-8 minutes of the show about what's coming up here.
Yeah, so national is, I mean, first of all, if you don't know what the national is, it's the National Sports Collectors Convention, where cards mainly, but also memorabilia and some other things, at a huge show. And it's the national for a reason. It's supposed to be the national show where everyone from across the country and overseas actually come in and collect, set up. They have over 7,000 tables. It's actually insane. But huge, biggest show of the year, and we obviously go every year. And we try to do something related to F1. So there's a few things that are going on this year. So the one that's up on the screen right now, this is the Legends of F1. So it's special nationals event. So this is myself, rated rips, and golden poles. So basically the 3 breakers for F1 that have been around since 2020 came out. So like the beginning of Formula One, because there's a ton of breakers, but not everyone was doing it back when 2020 was around, right? A lot of people were doing other sports or whatever, didn't get into F1 until later, or just hadn't started breaking, whatever. So me, rated rips, and golden poles are the only ones that have kind of just been doing F1 ever since it came out. So it came up with this idea, the Legends of F1, and we are doing kind of a year by year look through all the products, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off, we're going to end with 2020 Chrome. We're going to end with 2020 Chrome.
I went year order, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We're going to end with 2020 Chrome. And in all of these, there's a giveaway. We're giving away like a custom brake mat. And the picture you saw on the last screen was the custom brake mat. So someone in any of these breaks is going to win. That break, Matt, looks pretty cool. See them in person, they look awesome. So we're doing one case of 2020 Chrome. We're doing 2021 Sapphire. We're doing 2022 Sapphire, and then we're doing 2023 Chrome. So we'll start with 2023, and then we'll go back. So, we're seeing every year, and we're doing 2 Chrome, 2 Sapphire, kind of mixing it up a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, it should be fun. Always a good time. And it's been a little while since I've seen Ferg over there, so it'll be nice to hang out and rip.
Fun little trivia fact: the first F1 break I ever joined was with Ferg and Rated Rips.
There you go.
I still remember it. It was a 10-team random team break. It was probably like $75 a spot, which you'd like kill for getting a chance at Merc or Red Bull at that. Got Mercedes my first time on the random generator, and he opens one box, and there's a Lewis Hamilton image variation in there. $75 for Chrome.
Insane.
Yeah. I wish I still had it because I sold that far too soon. But I saw the story, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. That's super cool.
All right. That's not all that's going on here.
It isn't. And there's also, I do want to say, there's also a trade night that we're doing. I don't know if you have the picture of the trade night one, but so we have a trade night. So basically, Friday at noon is the Legends of F1 collab, right? With myself, Ray Rips, Golden Poles. We're ripping those 4 cases. That's from noon to 3. And then we're packing up our stuff. And then we're meeting up with actually Medalist Breaks for another collab. This is really just an F1 hobby, community night. So an F1 community night that we're doing at the Embassy Suites. It's about 10 to 15 minutes away from the center. But from 5 to 10 p.m. on Friday night, from 5 to 10 p.m., that's where, that's the best place to go. If you want to all meet up, meet more F1 collectors and everything, that is going to be the place you want to go and the event you'll want to see. And we're going to have ton of giveaways and everything. We're not doing any breaks, although actually Ian Racing Cards LLC is coming, and he is ripping a case of 2020 Chrome just to the dome. Just ripping a case for himself at the event. So we'll get to see some ripping, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Ian's just doing a full case. What a legend. But yeah, so it should be a good time, at the place, the Embassy Seats, there's food and, drink and everything you can get. So we've got a ton of tables, ton of room. Bring your cards if you want. And bring the vibes, and it'll be awesome kind of meeting so many people, because I've at this point, through the past couple nationals events and other events I've gone to, races and everything, I've met so many people from the F1 hobby, but I'm always blown away how many new people I meet at every one of these events, dozens. It's really cool, just bringing everyone together. So yeah, so that's going on Friday. That's the whole schedule for Friday is from noon we're ripping until 3, and then we're packing up, getting everything 5 to 10, and then maybe something afterwards. You never know. But then Thursday got a little something going on, and this was just announced. So you're gonna be watching this Monday morning, just announced last night, Sunday night. So I'm doing a 2020 Sapphire 2 cases of 2020 Sapphire break. This is going to be at the official Nationals trade night. Kind of Nationals basically runs the trade night too. It's the national show is this whole time, and then the trade show after, yeah, that's also us. so they run it too. I think the night that we're doing this is Thursday, so that's the night that Card Collector 2 is a sponsor for it and headliner. So he's gonna be there. I think he's actually doing a break at some point too. There's a few different people breaking. I think Polwax is breaking. But we are doing 2 cases of 2020 Sapphire, and what's really cool about this break is we've partnered with a ton of different folks. So obviously the National themselves we've partnered with because it's at their official trade night, and we're going to be up on the main stage, with the backdrop and everything. But then we've also partnered with Top Tier Authentics to get a bunch of memorabilia. So folks that are in the break are going to get little driver cards that are signed by Albon And we have a mini helmet signed by Albon as well through Top Tier Authentics. And Top Tier Authentics is also going to give away like digital badges. And so if you're in the break, you basically get one level. You get like participant level. And that will get you like the, potential to win the Albon helmet and like other future items as well, including one that I'm about to get to in a second. And then even if you're just viewing, so if you go to the National and you're at that trade night, you can come over to the Top Tier Authentics booth and you can scan the QR code and that gives you the entry and the badge and everything. Or if you're watching me live during this break, basically everyone that watches live during the break, we're going to get included in that as well. It's like a viewer badge. So there's a participant badge, a viewer badge, and that gives you like unlock certain kind of digital items you can get and like future opportunities like break credit or, spots in breaks or different memorabilia items, experiences. There's honestly so much that's going in this. This is just like the first stage. But so they're kind of running all of that. And then Beckett is going to be there. And so actually, I think if you go to the next slide, that might be, so yeah, Beckett is giving us a unique label. So for all the biggest cards that come out of that 2020, those two 2020 Sapphire, they're going to grade them with Beckett on the spot. And it's literally, we're going to have them back next day. So we're grading them on the spot. And then it's going to say on it 2024 National Trade Night F1 break. And then like the certificate of authenticity is, says how it's in partnership, with F1 Castle, Top Tier Authentics, and the next person I'm going to talk about. So Beckett's involved, Top Tier Authentics is involved. And then after that, we've got, so yeah, that's Top Tier Authentic. We'll make sure you get registered there to kind of be included in all that type stuff. And then we've also partnered with Logan Sargent. So Logan Sargent, specifically himself, not Williams Racing, Logan Sargent, a Formula One driver for Williams, is partnering with us to provide us signed race worn memorabilia. So we've got a pair of his gloves and one of his Nomex. One of these items is going to be given away to anyone. So like if you got that just viewer badge, if you just watch my break on Instagram, or if you're there in person in the National, you scan the QR code, you also have to download Logan Sargent's app, which it actually looks pretty cool. But you download his app, and then you're entered to win one of these items. You don't even have to be in the break. And then I think that's for the gloves. And then I think the Nomex itself, you have to be in the break. And so one of, there's only 15 spots in that break. So that'd be pretty cool to win that. And then Logan has like a virtual kind of thing where he's joining us. So obviously, the break is Thursday of next week. So that is, they're going to be in Spa. They're going to be in Belgium. It's Thursday. They'll have arrived on Tuesday or Wednesday, probably Tuesday. And Thursday, they'll be doing like media day and all that stuff. And when we're breaking, because it's at 9 p.m., it'll literally be like 2 or 3 a.m. Friday for them. So like Logan's not going to be able to join us like live there, but he's going to join us virtually. You've got like this whole big thing. It's going to be really cool. It's just awesome to, get an F1 driver involved in a break. Like, listen, wait till you hear it from Logan himself. Like, honestly, even the fact that I'm saying this is kind of blowing my mind. But yeah, you'll hear it from Logan himself. It's crazy to have an F1 driver involved in a break. I mean, I think the drivers are kind of, aware that like cards exist, right? They signed a bunch of them. But I think there's only a couple of them are really starting to pick up on like, oh, okay, like card collecting is huge and like the hobby is a big thing and like people really care about these things. And, some of them are worth a lot of money, but like people really care. And, it resonates and like, and talking, look, I mean, it's going to be really cool. Super cool experience. And again, like I said, this is just the beginning. Really trying to, I feel like I've got a new hashtag I put it on there actually. Hashtag keep pushing. Because I feel like every driver and every team in Formula One, like, when they win or something like that. Max does it all the time. Russell does it. Hamilton. It's always like, oh yeah, great win or like great podium and everything. Let's keep pushing, guys. Like keep pushing, keep pushing. So, just keep pushing. We got to keep pushing the Formula One hobby forward, and, hopefully providing kind of events, experiences, and breaks and stuff like this will kind of just grow the space. And looking forward to doing a lot more in the future and some really big things. Like, just wait, man. Austin coming up. We've got something huge already planned for that. So to be a lot of fun. So, but yeah, actually crazy. And huge shout out to F1 Ben. Sorry, huge shout out to F1 Ben, because the reel was unbelievable. Dude is nuts.
F1 Ben is the man. And obviously, his countryman got his first win today. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself.
That's
yeah,
right.
Scott, this sounds awesome. I'm a little jealous I won't be able to be there. But like you said, there's the opportunity for those of us at home to be able to tune in and watch. And you made the best point. It's just keep pushing the hobby forward. We're such a niche part of card collecting. So many Formula One fans aren't even aware that, there's even the cards that are available. I mean, you've talked about it on many different episodes here. When you go to the track, and you're talking to fans and you hand them cards and they just light up. That's the best part. I mean, obviously, is it cool to collect superfractors and pads? Absolutely. But the best part of the hobby is getting kids involved. Even refractors and, purples, who cares? It's still cards. They're the same photo across the board. It's just a different rarity. I mean, I want to see the hobby grow that way too, in that space, and that's how we get more people involved.
Yeah, and that's why it's like a two-pronged attack, because you go to the races, giving away free cards and everything like that, and then, one of the things that I kind of set out to do when I ultimately decided to do this full time, right? Quit my job, do F1 Castle full time. Went by a different name back then, but when I did that, I really wanted to get to a point where it's not just like we're breaking cards. It's a lot of fun and everything, but like I've been an F1 fan for forever, and like I've gotten lucky to have the opportunity a few times to like meet drivers in person and things like that. And like those are just, we love collecting the cards and collecting the memories that are associated with the cards, but like that's also another memory. And like, meeting a driver in person, like doing anything like that. So I'm trying as much as I can to like meld them, right? Like we collect the drivers because we love the drivers. So like let's see them, let's hang out with them, let's do collaborations with them. So I'm trying to do what we can here, but baby steps.
I'm interested to see what your new Logan Sargent PC is going to be here pretty soon.
You want to see my Logan Sargent PC?
Sure. We go on I'll go on the solo view here. We already went long in this episode. We might as well keep going at this rate.
Logan Sargent PC. I got one for you. Sorry, I'm like knocking things over all over the place. Yeah, we have a pretty decent one here.
Ooh.
Wait, pick up. Oh, there it is.
2022 Superfractor Auto, first appearance.
Not a bad one. Maybe on F1 Castle Premium Consignment.
Ooh. Awesome. All right, Scott, we got to end this thing before we keep rambling. I don't know if we'll get an opportunity to do one more episode before National, but if not, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And we got one more race before the summer break. We're going to be off for 3 weeks. We'll still come back. We've got so many topics that we could talk about with different sets and drivers and favorite photos and image like there's just an infinite number of topics that we can have that we really haven't even had the opportunity to dig into, because like the on-track action has just been so intense, and it's such a fun season so far.
Yeah, no, it's really turned into a cracker of a season, as they'd say over in Britain a lot. But like, I'll say right now, yeah, there's no way we're going to be able to do another podcast. Like, so this one's coming out Monday. We won't be able to release another one this week because I just don't have time right at the beginning of the week, and then I'm going to be gone. But potentially we can do another thing like this, right? Where, we get to see what happens on Sunday, and then we'll have done everything with the national. So we'll get one out early the following week. And then, like you said, we've got some topics ready to go in terms of getting us through the summer break, getting into a little more card specific content, which I think is great.
Absolutely. All right. So we'll try to end it now at the 40-minute mark at this rate. So why don't you bring us home?
Alrighty. Well, it's been a while, but guys, don't forget to collect your cardboard and keep it carb.